Hi guys, Carl here from Self-Sufficient Hub, and today we're having a bad day because we have got potato blight. Now, potato blight is a fairly common disease. It's a fungal disease and it affects the nightshade family. So that includes your tomatoes and your peppers and aubergines, eggplants, things like that. But it's most prevalent in potatoes, especially here in the UK, but all around the world. And it exhibits itself with this brown wilting of the leaves. So this is a fairly typical sign of potato blight. You can get magnesium deficiency, which looks a little bit similar, but not as severe as this. One of the biggest telltale signs of potato blight is just how fast it comes on. So these potatoes look fine just 2 days ago, and they might have looked all right yesterday. I certainly didn't notice any issue with them when I walked past yesterday, although I didn't inspect them quite heavily. But obviously, as you can see, I spotted this without looking for it today. I just walked past and could see this problem, and on closer inspection it was pretty clearly potato blight, and this will take hold and ravage your plants really quickly. So what do we do? Well, there's no treatment for potato blight. That's it. These plants are done. The potatoes, the tubers, are all pretty much formed already. Now, when you've got blight like this, at this stage, it's only going to be in the plant above ground. It's a wind-borne disease. It comes in on the rain and in the air. So if I leave this here, it's definitely going to spread to my tomatoes and things that I've got elsewhere. So that's the first reason that we need to deal with it. It'll also spread to neighbours if they don't already have it. So it's really important to deal with it. So we're going to cut all of the greenery off of these plants right down at the root and burn it. We're also going to harvest our plants because basically this won't have affected the tubers yet. So we're going to be able to harvest all of our potatoes and still be able to use them without too much trouble. Now, should you leave these plants, should you leave this here, then what will happen is that blight will actually get down into the potatoes and ruin your harvest. So it's really important to deal with it quickly. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that today. We're going to take all these out and we're going to burn the green, we're going to burn the foliage, and we're going to harvest our potatoes. Now, you can check to see if the blight has got into your potatoes just by cutting them. If you've got little brown spots in your potatoes, then you've got blight in there, and they're not going to be any good. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to basically just cut all this green back, put it in the wheelbarrow, take it over to the bonfire, and we're going to burn that. We're going to burn that today. Then we're going to come back and harvest the roots. So I'm going to use a pair of succotaurs to cut all the foliage away, and then I'm not going to use these on anything else until we've disinfected them. Okay, so I've taken all of the foliage out now, all of the potato plant that was above ground. And as you can see, we've just got to come through and harvest them now. Now, this is a no-dig bed, so it should actually be really easy to harvest the potatoes because I'm expecting the vast majority of them to be in the loose surface at the top in the mulch. Just something to be aware of with regards to potato blight. There's a lot of scaremongering out there, and I have fallen victim to it in the past as well. Now, we had blight here last year right up that end of the vegetable bed, so that's why I've moved our potatoes down here. But in the UK and anywhere you get real frosts, you don't need to worry about that because the blight, the fungus itself, is actually not going to survive the winter. It won't overwinter in your soil. That was a real concern of mine, and I was really worried about what had I done. Had I caused this blight by not moving my potatoes far enough from last year's? What am I going to do next year? Because I don't know where else I can grow potatoes. But that's something you don't need to worry about. It's a wives' tale, if you like. It's a myth. So that might not be true if where you live you don't get frost. So if you live in a much warmer climate than we do here in the UK, that might be something you need to worry about, and you'll need to move your potatoes quite a distance to stop the blight that's going to, no doubt there'll be small amounts of blight has made its way into the soil here. And if our season carried on any longer, I mean, I was toying with the idea of actually putting some more potatoes in next to these guys. I've got a little bit of spare bed there, and I was toying with the idea of putting in another set of potatoes this year to try and basically take a gamble on getting another harvest this year. Obviously, I'm not gonna do that now. Definitely not. It's just not worth the risk. But I'm not concerned. That's the main takeaway I'm trying to share with you. I'm not concerned about planting potatoes back here next year once I've dealt with this issue. So I'm going to go and burn the foliage now. So it's not the most fun part of what we do, dealing with diseases and failures, and it can be really disheartening. On this occasion, hopefully it's not going to have caused us too much of a problem beyond altering our schedules, but it's definitely important to deal with things quickly if you can, and that's what we've done. So we couldn't have done anything different. We couldn't have done any more than we've done. The slightly disappointing thing, looking at the crop, it looks like it's potentially really, really small, and if the plant was still healthy, it would have given us the option of, you know, allowing them to grow on for a little bit longer as long as the plant was still thriving, and you know, that option has been taken away from us. But the most important thing is to notice these things and deal with them as quickly as you can before a small problem becomes a big problem, because this could have potentially spread to all of our nightshades, and that includes tomatoes, peppers and things like that. And if we'd lost all of our tomato and pepper crops, that would have been a real gut wrench. I have taken out a few tomatoes that look like they might be infected, but luckily our tomatoes are spread out over the property. We've got several different areas with them in. We do at least have lots of seedlings ready to take the place in the bed from the potatoes that have come out a little bit earlier than I would have liked. We've got lots of winter vegetables and some succession planting to go in. So I've harvested all the potatoes, and it turns out it was an abject disaster. So this is just yet another in the catalogue of disasters I've had this year with my annual vegetable bed. This is literally all the potatoes I've been able to get out of this whole space, and it's just a pathetic amount now. They were free. The potatoes that we planted were just ones that we had in the kitchen that we let run to seed. So they've cost me nothing. They've cost very little time and effort, because using the no dig method, and I actually did a video when I was putting these in on no dig potatoes, so you can see how simple they are to grow and very simple to harvest as well, because all the tubers are in this loose top stuff. But you can see just by the size of them, they just needed a lot longer in the ground. Now, of course, even though, as I said earlier in this video, you know, most of them had flowered, so generally speaking, that's a good sign that your potatoes are ready or getting near ready. But one of the beautiful things about potatoes is you can just uncover the tubers and have a look at what size they are and see if they're ready to come out, because just a few days ago, literally 2 days ago, they were stonking healthy plants. So there you go, that's potato blight. That's what it looks like, and that's what you need to do if you find it. In this instance, it's absolutely ravaged my crop, and it's, although we'll be able to eat all these potatoes and we'll get a good couple of family meals out of it, it's certainly another knockback this year. The weather has just made our performance on our whole annual vegetable bed, which last year we made, just from this little bed, we had enough produce to eat all summer, all autumn, all winter, and we were still eating garden produce from last year right up until this year's produce started coming through, and that's just not going to be the case this year. So despite all my best efforts, we are going to have to look at some alternatives this year. But as I always say, it's about the journey, not about the destination. And we will, although I feel a little bit deflated today, I feel a little bit deflated right now after harvesting all these potatoes. It hasn't dampened my desire to grow our own food. It hasn't dampened my drive to become more self-sufficient. It makes me feel a little bit disappointed right now, but that is temporary, and everything is temporary. And that's one of the beauties of doing this, is you learn how transient everything is, and nothing that you do is ever finished. So whatever you're growing, there's always something else to do with it later. And that's been really important for me personally. So I'll have to try and remember all that while I take this pathetic amount of potatoes into the kitchen. Because, you know, we're going to be fine. We'll be all right. It's just not what I would have liked, not what I would have hoped. So hopefully you have better luck with your potatoes this year. And hopefully you are able to spot the signs of blight if you weren't already, so that you know what to do, and you can get on and deal with your own stuff if and when the need arises. If you find these videos valuable, there's several ways you can support them, and the easiest of which is to subscribe to our channel. It's the easiest way for you to make sure you don't miss any of our content. It also helps us out greatly. The other ways are to like this video, just to press that thumbs up right there, and to leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought. Also, make sure you come and find us elsewhere. We're online on Facebook, we're online on our own website, and we're online with our podcast. They're all called Self-Sufficient Hub, and we'd love to see you checking us out elsewhere. Thanks for watching. Speak to you soon.